Here's a structured signal from Rahimi Law Firm PSC, powered by freshnews.ai. Couples attending USCIS marriage interviews are seeing decisions hinge on how organized and consistent their evidence appears. Executive summary: USCIS marriage interviews function as a credibility check on the relationship, with officers relying heavily on how clearly joint evidence reflects a shared life. The structure, consistency, and completeness of forms, timelines, and supporting records shape how an officer interprets the marriage. Well-organized, coherent documentation supports quicker, more favorable decisions, while gaps or contradictions trigger deeper scrutiny and additional procedural steps. Today's signal: your USCIS marriage interview can turn on how clearly your evidence shows a real, ongoing life together. If you rush into the appointment because of travel, lease changes, job moves, or school plans, your paperwork and answers can come across as incomplete or inconsistent. That can lead to extra scrutiny, an RFE, or even a denial that separates you from your spouse or forces you into harder waiver or appeal options. Rahimi Law Firm enables prepare clients for USCIS marriage interviews by centralizing packet routing, packet control, and packet management across end-to-end delivery paths. Why it matters. Here are 4 takeaways. First, you may have a real marriage but still face an RFE or denial if your joint records are thin, scattered, or hard to follow at the interview. Second, your answers and your spouse's answers must match your I-130, I-485, and supporting documents, or the officer may suspect fraud and extend review. Third, your travel, lease renewals, job changes, or school deadlines can collide with interview dates and RFEs, so poor preparation can leave you stuck or separated longer. Fourth, your chance to fix problems later through motions, appeals, or waivers is more limited, more stressful, and often more expensive than getting your evidence right before the interview. How it works in practice. When you file your marriage-based case, you submit forms like the I-130 and I-485 with initial proof of your relationship, living situation, and finances. After biometrics, you receive an interview notice telling you when and where to appear and what joint records to bring. At the appointment, you and your spouse answer questions about your history, routines, housing, and money, while the officer reviews the documents you provide. If your evidence is missing or contradicts your forms, you may leave without a decision and later receive an RFE or a notice for a second interview. If your packet is organized and your story is consistent, you are more likely to receive an approval without extra hurdles. One practical adjustment: create a single, clearly labeled binder or digital folder this week that groups your joint lease or mortgage, bank statements, taxes, insurance, and utility bills in order. What to do next? Here are 4 takeaways. First, review, gather your core joint records, such as leases, bank statements, tax returns, insurance policies, utility bills, and children's birth certificates, and put them in chronological order. Second, review, build a simple relationship timeline listing key dates like first meeting, engagement, wedding, moves, trips, and major life events, so your answers stay consistent. Third, review your I-130, I-485, and prior filings together, checking names, addresses, and dates so you and your spouse give matching responses at the interview. Fourth, review scheduled time to practice common marriage interview questions together and identify any gaps where you need additional proof or to clarify past events. Read more at rahimilawyers.com.